Retail is essentially a retention business, and typically people come back to a business not necessarily for price. They do, not necessarily for price, but more for service.
He started selling t-shirts out of his trunk in 2011. Now he runs 2 dispensaries with a 3rd one on the way. Marcus Johnson Smith is the co-founder of Kush Groove, a brand built on culture, community, and cannabis as a way of life. What began as a streetwear and a smoke shop turned into a full-scale retail operation with dispensaries in Cambridge, Brockton, and a 3rd location under construction in Boston. He also mentors young entrepreneurs as an entrepreneur in residence at Tufts, helping the next generation turn ideas into action.
Take care of your people, your customers, and your staff. Provide good service, treat people with dignity, offer them great products at a good price, and hopefully they continue to come back.
We talk about brand as strategy, scaling with purpose, and staying true to your roots no matter how big the business gets. This is community-driven cannabis built to last.
Well, first things first, you got the sweetest podcast voice.
I do.
You got the sweetest podcast voice. It's like the best. Like, you kind of made for this shit, so I just want to acknowledge.
Okay. I'll take it. I'll take it.
But I'm Marcus Johnson Smith, one of the co-founders, chief marketing officer of Kush Groove Dispensary, Kush Groove Clothing. Yeah, I guess.
That's it. Yes. Well, because you've been in it for a minute, and so, like, I feel you're way ahead of, you saw some kind of crazy vision from the very beginning, because you started a clothing company, apparel company.
Yeah.
What year?
2011. We got a teenager of a business.
Yeah, exactly.
They're about to be 15.
Yeah, that's wild.
But yeah, I mean, I've been doing this in this space for a while. I was kind of reflecting on this morning on the ride here. Like, cannabis has been around me for a long time, inside the house and outside the house. And it turned out like my life path has found it to be my professional work.
It is.
But yeah, cannabis has really just been in my life, like inside the house, outside the house.
So, but in 2011, you decided to, like, did you see already, oh, this is going to be legal someday, I'm going to make a path of this ahead of time, let's get ahead of it, because you saw California or something like that?
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, because, and shout out to my partner, Mike Pyra, is my brother, my business partner, best friend. He really had the vision. And so our little story background on that is we both went to Northeastern at the same time, but I'm 4 years younger. So he graduated, 4 years ahead of me. And after he graduated, he went to go live in California for a little bit. And as like the little brother, I'm like, I'm gonna go over there. So I went over there, stayed on the couch for a couple weeks. And we went to a couple festivals, and we was on the ground, and we just got to see like an emerging culture taking form in California. And this is probably 2005.
Wow, 05.
04, 05.
Wow.
So from there, it's just that spark.
That's 20 years ago. I don't know if you realize
Yeah, it's crazy thinking about it.
Yeah,
really, for real. And it's crazy thinking about that's 20 years.
You've been on this journey.
But that was like the spark. We was like, oh, that's what's going on over here. We got to do that back over here.
Right. So you had like you saw the future. You were like, it's all going to happen eventually over here. Let's get ahead of it.
Yeah, because we're still smoking weed back home.
Right, exactly. It's not like that's not different.
That's not different.
Right.
Frankly, the weed that we smoking back home is from over here anyway.
Right, exactly.
So we kind of just, through that, kind of got that spark. And we've always been entrepreneurial, and just our character and who we are. And so that spark for us was just like, man, there's something beyond us just like being around weed. There's like life after being around weed.
Right,
It's
exactly.
like a future.
Yeah. Well, because you can be a consumer or you can be a creator, right? And you were like, let's make that switch. I want to be a creator.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Did you have other businesses before that? Because you say entrepreneurship is kind of like what you were going after. Is that what you went to Northeastern to like try to establish yourself in that entrepreneurship kind of vein?
I didn't have businesses formally before that. I'm a student pretty much by the time. So I think I graduated, and then there was a little buffer before we started the business, but not too much of a push. It was like, a couple years. So I'm just outside of college figuring out life, but weed's still a part of my life on the side. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, we catch this spark and we kind of see like, oh shit, this is something we can actually do. That's when we kind of made it real. But we both, the story behind that, we had another co-founder who was a homie of ours as well. We were all kind of working full time, but outside of work,
What were you guys doing?
weed's still in our lives, you know what I'm saying? And so,
What were you guys doing those full-time jobs?
I was working in nonprofit and philanthropy. My boy was working in, one of my boys working in hotels. My boy Mike he was doing the commercials for Jim Sokolov.
Oh, really? Jim Sokolov, that's a name.
Yeah, so that was like our daytime work.
Right.
Like after work, we all kind of lived together too in some capacity, roommates and such at different times. The weed stuff was like the fun stuff, you know what I'm saying? And so that's what really led us to go in that direction of entrepreneurship. It was like, yo, this is what we love to do. We want to do something, right, as entrepreneurs. And then, we see like a model of it on the West Coast. Let's do.
What were the brands in the West Coast that you were looking at? You were like, oh, these guys. Was Cookies out even?
Yeah, I think
at that point?
Cookies was definitely out for sure. Yeah, if we're talking maybe 20 years ago. Damn.
Yeah. It'd be like,
Yeah, Cookies was out. But everybody was just like on their game, just like on their young hustle, right? It's like coming out.
Good Vibes is more than a product, it's your cannabis toolkit. Drop it into your drink, mix it into tea, kick up your mocktail, or just pop it in straight. You can even bake or cook with it. Our unflavored option is perfect for brownies or any recipe where you want control and precision. No more guessing how strong your edibles are. Available in 500 milligram and 1,000 milligram bottles, and flavors like strawberry, grape, blue ras, and our newest, mango guava 1,000 milligrams. Grab your toolkit at dispensaries across Massachusetts or at getgoodfeels.com. And as always, 21 plus only. Please consume responsibly. When I think about Cookies, I think about apparel. I think
Yeah.
about all the stuff that they put together.
I mean, for us, it was like we looked at the competitive landscape as streetwear, but also like emerging cannabis brand. So we were kind of like in the middle of that. So to some degree, like Cookies is like the perfect hybrid of that, right? But back then it's like Diamond Supply, the Hundreds, those brands that like blended. They were more streetwear, but they blended culture as well. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I mean, so you see them, you're like, oh, all right, that's like a blueprint that we can follow. But we still like with this weed stuff, you know what I'm saying? And that's what we got inspired by.
Yeah, so wait, take me back to those days though, because was it 2008, 2009? You guys were like roommates or in and out of roommates, and then all of a sudden you were like, all right, let's do something. Was there like a trigger? Immediately you were like, oh, this is the chance? Was it because there was like a spot opened up in Cambridge, something like that, or?
Nah, I mean, we really... The early days, we were just out the trunk, t-shirts and accessories, shit.
Always Kush Groove.
Oh yeah. Like from 2011 essentially to 2015, it was just like out the trunk. You know what I'm saying? Then we had our first retail store in Mission Hill in 2015.
So was it out the trunk? Now you're talking about you just got the shirts made. Was it local, China, something like that? It was some local. So you got them, and then you're literally like, how does that even work? Like you just pull up to, because I see this sometimes. I'm always curious, like, how does that side of that hustle work? Do you just have to like, there's certain spots where there's gonna be a lot of traffic. You go to like Fenway, like you go to like the Garden. Like what do you like? What's your approach?
I think it's just knowing where the people at. And we've always been like community based as a brand, you know what I'm saying? So it was either going to where we knew people was at, going to different festivals, popping up, with our tent or whatever, going to hip hop shows. Like we was really outside.
Were you selling inside the venue or outside the venue or both?
Both.
Yeah.
Just and again, we weren't getting rich from this stuff at
No, I
the
know.
time, but it was more like just the grassroots brand building that you just got to do over time.
Right.
And we did the work.
And how did you find your role? Because you're the marketing side of this, right? So like Mike, he's more of the operations business side of it. You're like meeting him at a different level on the business, but then also marketing side of it. Did you guys already know how it was going to get split up from the beginning kind of thing? Or you guys just fell into like, hey, I'll take care of this. You take care of this.
Yeah.
It's just organic.
Yeah. Like, I'll take care of this, you take care of this.
Yeah.
And sometimes those roles cross over as well. But yeah.
So on the marketing side, what drew you to that world?
That's kind of just been an expertise I've been developing over time. Yeah, my graduate degree, my graduate studies, I didn't graduate from Northeastern grad school, was communication studies. So that's kind of the professional direction I was going in. And I was also working in nonprofit, philanthropy, communications, things of that nature. So it was all, again, that was kind of the work I was doing, the direction I was going in professionally before I got out the whipping. Different direction with me.
Right.
And then, just taking those skills and applying them to what we got to do.
Yeah. So, because I always hear from founders, especially if they have business partners, they're like co-founding.
Yeah.
That, how do I trust my partner? Like it has to be kind of inherent, but also, what happens if, that person you're getting married to ultimately for this business, what if they're not holding, like, what if you feel like I'm doing all this work, you're not doing anything? And
well, this is my brother. We've been married for forever.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So all that stuff.
How do you make that, like, I mean, do you have any advice for those people who are like, hey, I'm about to start a new company. I'm looking, I've got a founder. He's a friend of mine.
What's interesting is my work that I do outside of Kush Groove is I work at a university as an entrepreneur in residence. And so those questions always come up.
Yeah. EIR. Yeah.
With the ventures that are coming up to the university. And the common advice I share around that is you got to be crystal clear on what you can offer, what you're good at. Try to be as clear in the same realm, like with what you're not good at, and try to complement the people that you're working with the best you can.
Yeah. Because if you both have the same skill set, it's just like, well, now you're stepping in each other's toes maybe a little bit, right?
I guess, yeah. I mean, the great thing about my working relationship with my business partner is we actually do have the same skills at a very high level, but we know how to delegate the work. You know what I'm saying? And I think that works really well for us.
Yeah, because I always feel that, because I mentor startups occasionally, they'll have, I'll jump on phone calls with people because entrepreneurs are my favorite people. So I'm always just like, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? I want to see more like startups. I want to see more creators in the world, ultimately, versus consumers, right? Yeah. And I had previous business partners as well. And I had three of us in total. So I had two other people with me in my last company that we successfully grew and exited. And sometimes it was challenging because it was like, we're all trying to hustle. We're all trying to get like ahead, making progress on, in this particular case, it was like, say, agency work. We're like building a new feature for some client or something like that. Yep. And one day I come in, I tell the programmers, because I'm the CTO, I'm the technology guy. So like I'd go in and I'd be like, hey, how's the feature coming along? And he'd go, oh, your business partner over there told me to do something different. And then I'd be like, all right, but like you're a programmer, I'm the CTO, like you're my direct report, like why aren't you doing this instead? And he's like, well, take it up with him. He really wanted this other thing done, right? So we kind of had like a three-headed dragon in a sense, where some people were, depending on what day it was, you might be a different person as your boss, right? So there was we had trouble a little bit with that one until we actually split the company into two, because we had two different companies. Then we assigned a CEO to one, which I became CEO of one of the companies, and a different partner became the CEO of the other company. And we had to separate at some point because it was one of those situations where it's like, nobody knows who to report to. You know what I mean? Do you ever run into any issues like that?
No, I mean, we've designed our org structure in a way that I think folks at this level, at this point, kind of know who's doing what. You know, we have two stores that we operate. We're about to open the third one. And our management structure kind of is in place where people kind of know who's doing what.
And it works.
Yeah.
It works. Yeah, because if you're already going to a third store at this point, that
Kind of have to figure these things out.
Right.
You got to figure these things out. And nothing's perfect, right? Like,
Right.
every day. But I think, and shout outs to my team. Like, I love y'all. Y'all, like, I love my team, my management team. I love y'all. Like, you just got to have good people in place that can just run shit on a day to day.
Absolutely. So going back to kind of like that origin story. So 2011, you incorporated, you're out of the trunk, selling all the clothing, apparel, whatever.
Yeah.
And then actually, was there like a big hit back then? Was like there's like a t-shirt that just sold better than everything else?
Maybe. I just really don't remember.
Did you mix it up a lot though? We were always trying to do new styles.
Yeah, and I think the context I have to set is, like, we really came with the intention to be where we're at today.
Right.
It really wasn't about, like, being the best
Streetwear.
streetwear fashion design company, right? Like, that wasn't who we were. We just wanted to create a brand for what felt like where we wanted to go.
Right.
To where we at today. And so, you know, we invested a lot in just a little bit of the creative side, but more of just like the community building, the network, like the human capital piece of the business. And I think that's what really got us to where we're at today. So I say all that to say, like, the clothing wasn't really like our main focus.
Right.
The
You knew that wasn't your end game.
Nah, not at all. Like, we're not like fashion people. I mean, I think we look cool. You know, I think we cool, but like, I'm not a high fashion person. That's not like my life,
Right.
You know, but my life is cannabis.
Right.
And we knew someday it would be where we at today. And I think we were pretty spot on in our.
So 2015, you opened that clothing store.
It was a brand smoke shop. Let's call it that. So it was in the Mission Hill neighborhood of Boston, right around some of the colleges, Northeastern, Wentworth, the hospitals and such, RCC. And the concept was really clothing and the smoke side of things. So most of our business was bongs, pipes, tobacco.
Interesting. Well, because you knew, that, again, looking at that long-term vision, you know where you wanted to end up, so you had to have a little bit of that component to it.
Yeah. Before you can actually sell the cannabis legally, right? We knew, and again, I can't take all the credit for this. This is really my partner for really being the brainchild of this. We knew we needed a business model that was sustainable in retail for us. Like, it wasn't going to be clothes. That. You know, we weren't the Gucci store. You know what I'm saying? So we knew we had to kind of embrace both sides of that in a business model and a retail business model. So that's what really got us there.
You chose that location because it was like all the colleges were there. You were just, you know.
I mean,
did Mike go in and be like, "Hey, I know this is."
It didn't work like that. It actually worked a little bit more like real life organically. So I give you this story. His uncle was volunteering for, I forgot the woman's name, but she was running for mayor against Marty Walsh.
Okay.
And that was like their campaign spot.
Okay.
His uncle had pulled Mike in to just come volunteer for a couple times. Fast forward, that spot became vacant and had a relationship, and that's how we got it.
That's how you got
So it wasn't really like, oh, this grand design of
right. Get at maps.
These are the spots,
and being like, all right, let's.
Nah, it wasn't that. It was just a relationship. It worked out. The space was vacant at the time. It was a great location at a great price, and I mean, we were there for like 6 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because fast forward a little bit, and then now you're thinking about, okay, it's legal here. 2016 happens. It gets passed. Did you immediately start thinking to yourself, "All right, we gotta find a spot. Like, what do we like?" Yeah. 2016, because
well, if you really go back, there's this buffer between 8 16 and 18. You know what I'm saying? And they let, forgive me for my characterization, but the East bumfuck towns go first, right? And opening and allowing recreational retail to open. And it wasn't until 18 and on where like the more urban areas were legislating.
Well, that was
for cannabis to be open.
Because I was going to say it was probably BCB, right? Boston Cannabis Board. Like that was, I think that had to get created too at some point, right? So there's a lot of that. I think a lot of the.
But my two stores aren't in Boston today.
Oh, that's right.
They're in Cambridge and Brockton.
So when it comes to but Cambridge launched first. We're going to get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But like for, you're right. You're talking about that stuff because I think it was, back then it was really like the medical companies were like, okay, let's add on adult use.
Yeah.
All the vertical integrated medical operators. Because that's our neighbors, Comcan, and that's what they did. They were like, hey, we're already here. Let's just get the adult use done now.
Yep.
And so going from 2016 to 2018 is when the first adult use stores are actually starting to launch now. But where was your mind at back in those days? Trying to find a spot?
Just trying to find spots. And again, I got to give credit to my boy, my partner, because he's also a real estate broker. So he was just a little bit more inclined to do that work just because he was just in that work.
Right.
And the goal was, you got to understand the regs. You got to read these shits and really learn what's the strategy, how to really do this thing, and what's the leanest way to do it, because we don't come from money at all. And yeah, Cambridge location. And again, I gotta give praise to all the highest powers because we literally found a location in our neighborhood that we grew up in next to my boy's first job at the supermarket. Like you can't get any like homegrown than that.
Right.
And so we found that location. It was available. We negotiated it, and that was the first location.
And so at what point did you shut down that
the Mission Hill
apparel, Mission Hill?
Yeah. So the other story with that is we had for folks that probably know the brand, we had a second retail store that we opened in Central Square. So we had two Kush Groove like smoke shop stores open. The second one was in Central Square, Cambridge, but we opened it literally 2 days before COVID. Like March 15th, we opened it. The world shut down March 17th of 2020. So we didn't get back into the store until like 3 months after, just because life was shut down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Everybody's trying to find toilet paper.
Exactly. So that kind of put a pause on that plan. Okay. Like a big pause.
Right.
But long story short, we had that lease for a year and we just kind of cut it. And then so we had two stores open, up until 2021.
Okay.
And then we closed Mission Hill 2022.
Mm-hmm. To focus full time on the Cambridge spot.
Yeah. And then the first one was open 2023. Yeah.
And so when you're thinking about that transition from that smoke shop model to the cannabis model, obviously you got to know the regulations, all this other stuff. Did you have people like guiding you? Like most people who go through this, you make a ton of mistakes.
Yeah.
Like anything that's glaring that you were like, oh man, if we could have done it over again, I would have done this instead.
Yeah. We definitely had help.
Good.
We had help.
Yeah, because you don't, like you said, you don't come from money. So like you obviously had to do it super lean.
Yeah, I think though, like my boy and I are smart enough to do a lot of the work ourselves.
Like what were you guys doing? Were you guys doing construction yourselves and everything or not?
Some stuff.
Some, yeah.
Yeah, but like that wasn't the best use of our time. But like, we didn't have to pay for any real estate agents, real estate brokers.
Right, because you had Mike.
You're right, yeah. I'm also a licensed as well. So we didn't have to pay for that. We were very lean on legal stuff. And we leveraged a lot of resources that we knew about and just cultivated over time, having had the clothing business for damn near 10 years before. So I mean, we knew how to do a lot of things that most people, if they're just coming into retail for the first time, didn't know how to do. Like,
exactly.
We knew how to do.
So even though you even still made mistakes, at least they were minimized for the most part because you had that retailer experience.
Yeah.
I think that's what's severely lacking when people are coming in. They're like, hey, I love weed, so I'm going to open a store.
Well,
and it's like,
less the retail experience, but more just like business experience. You know, like we had enough experience opening two smaller scale retail businesses. Yeah, you know, 7 years, 8 years almost, collectively, to inform us how to do the first one. We made some mistakes for sure. Yeah, we're correcting a lot of things because you learn just by doing shit over time, right? But we got great operations now, and we're doing a third one, and just carrying over the same kind of playbook and principles. So nonetheless, we've just learned a couple things over time to get as sharp as we are today. But a lot of people kind of miss those steps before. And this is one of those businesses, it's such an expensive undertaking that it doesn't benefit you if you don't have the experience beforehand. Or you're going to just waste a lot, your money or a lot of people's money.
A lot of people's money. Yeah, I feel like, because I obviously, you know, I started around end of 2019, early 2020, I started taking it more seriously. COVID hit, and then, like I said, everybody scrambled for toilet paper and all kinds of stuff. And we eventually decided to, my wife and I, that is, we decided like, all right, maybe we should do something with this. And we ended up doing, you know, finding a spot was the first thing. It's always, that was because landlords had such a stranglehold on the industry. The CCC gave so much power to these HCAs that for us, it was just like, and we lucked out too. We found a spot. They didn't charge us a green tax. It was like a reasonable price. And even though it was small, I was like, hey, I come from the tech world, so I always reference MVP, minimum viable product, something just to get it out there. And if people like our drinks, we'll get a bigger facility at that point. You know what I mean? We had to start super small. So we also started lean because I also had all those years experience in running a business. I was like, I can't just blow up all these things. Yeah. With that said, I also spent a lot of money on equipment and stuff like that, which we no longer use, right? So it's like a lot of that stuff we have to unwind a little bit, and we're also still kind of like unwinding this stuff. Our bottling line is up for sale right now on like auction for $80,000. Is, you know, we spent $250,000 on all of our equipment just for making seltzer, and we nowhere near made that money back, right? Drinks just wasn't a thing, right? It was a thing, but it was like onesie twosie, like, hey, add a drink onto my, you know, because they're coming in for pre-roll, they're coming in for an eighth, they're coming in for like typically flour, right? 70% of the market still. Yeah. And even to this day, it's 70% of the market. So they do like onesie twosie, like, you know, maybe I'll get a 6-pack, something like that. But it's not like cases, right? And we were designed for cases of drinks. But take me back to that first store opening, like.
What, my first store? Or
no. We're talking cannabis now. So actually, before we go too far, what's with the turtle?
Joey Kindbud, that's his name.
Joey Kindbud.
Joey Kindbud, yeah.
Where'd that come from?
Customer, we did a Name the Turtle contest maybe 10 years ago. Just like some social media random shit, because we were like, this is a cool asset for us, and like, let's put a name to it. And yeah, like people voted for the name Joey Kindbud, and that's his name.
10 years ago? Wow, that's fun. Where did you decide to go with the turtle? Like, where'd that come from? What's the inspiration for even going to that direction?
This is the brand name, Kush Groove, the lifestyle, slow and steady, turtle. Boom.
Boom. Okay, I get it.
It who else? It wasn't going to be
a hawk.
A rabbit.
Or a rabbit, there you go.
It wasn't going to be a rabbit.
Some old parables here. Very cool. So take me back to that first store opening, cannabis store specifically. Delays, was there like tons of hype? Was there like, was Cambridge, because it's like West Cambridge, right? Western side of Cambridge. Like, were they like open to you guys? Were they fighting it? Like,
I mean, the community was our community we grew up in, like literally. My boy.
But sometimes people don't like that in their neighborhood. It's NIMBY sometimes, right? Like they like you.
Not in our neighborhood. I mean, you know, there's micro NIMBYism everywhere.
Of course.
Right? Like in every household, someone can be a NIMBY.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it wasn't at scale in that community.
Okay.
Just, you know, once we had to do the outreach and folks knew, it was like, oh, these are real, like, you know, that kid went to the elementary school down the street.
Right.
Like,
it's a real hometown.
yeah, it's a real.
It's not like there's some like big money coming in from like Arizona or something.
It's like all of us that own the business there, we from that neighborhood.
Right.
Hands down.
So you got to that spot because you had, whether it was Mike or you, like you guys knew the locations and like that spot opened up. You grabbed that spot. Awesome restaurant right next door to that too. What's that restaurant right next door?
Sofra.
Sofra. That's really good food. I missed that.
Yeah, Sofra's bomb.
So you got a great spot, I'd say. And then, so you're going through the, you know, you're building, you launch. After you launch, was it a green rush for you where people were like knocking down your doors? Like, how does that grand opening look like?
I mean, we've always been a community brand. So it's like the people that's been with us for, you know, 15, 10, 5 years, like they showed up.
Excellent.
Which was really cool. I mean, even before that, like just the people from our neighborhood that knew us, that still live in the neighborhood today, like they showed up. So that was beautiful. And then it's business. Like it's retail. Business. It's retail. We didn't open in 2018. We opened in 2023. Right? So it's like the market's a little bit
cooled a bit.
Cooled
by 23.
You know.
Well, that's what I think when people get these ideas, especially like I said, when you are mentoring like a startup who's trying to get into this industry, I'm just like, it's cooled a lot. Like, be careful what you're asking for, you know?
Facts, yeah.
And that's why I was asking if there's like a big kind of like people knocking your door, like ready to go, but you had the community already kind of there, right? So how much like of the community side?
I mean, I'll give you this stat.
Right? Yeah, say it.
Before we opened our first cannabis retail store, we had already done like 50,000 transactions of just non-cannabis accessories.
Mm-hmm.
So we're dealing with the same people.
Right.
It's the same customer transaction. And we've done that 50,000 times before we opened.
Well, I was gonna get to that because I think about like you already had all this retail experience. Were you building your email list?
Of course.
SMS?
Of course.
So like what were you using specific tools at that point, or were you just like
every tool we could?
Yes.
I've gone through all of them. The ones that have been, I mean, you know,
some are more friendly than others.
Yeah, just in a whole entire digital marketing like landscape over the last 15 years, I've probably gone through every one of them.
Wow. What are you on right now? What did you settle on? What's
right now? Alpine. Yeah, Alpine, Dutchie.
Yeah. Alpine's the one that everybody references in the cannabis industry because they're built for cannabis. So that's one of them. Because I remember even back like when I first started, we were on like MailChimp or something.
Yeah.
And
I really like.
And MailChimp was just like we heard like, hey, you just get your account shut down. You got to move. We're on Klaviyo right now. At least they have an open policy about it. But we're not a retail store though, so it's like Alpine IQ maybe. I don't know. We've talked to them a few times though. So you built this list. You get this. You're obviously part of the community. Are you doing things in the community right now? Like, how do you integrate into the community as like...
Well, it's beyond building the list. It's, you know, calling people. Like, my customers is like my friends.
Oh, no.
Like, really, like, we a good number of our customers in both locations are like our friends and our people that we've known for 15, 20 years, right? So it's more than the email list. It's like, now it's a space where people can go to just go get their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? From the guys they've known for a long time, the guys that they trust.
And who I think Mike is curating a lot of it, although I know you have a new buyer now, but like, because you want to have, like, you want to put products in there that people are going to like, because they're your friends.
Yeah, like, right. I mean, and I want, like, I'm probably one of, at least in our Cambridge store, because I live not too far, I'm one of our best customers, so I want to go there.
Loyalty points. And stuff
Yeah, like, you know, I'm in there as a customer 2-3 times a week, and I want to have a great option of items to choose from, right? So, as someone who's a customer and who's, you know, to some degree responsible for that experience for all the customers, we want the best products. We want stuff that people like, stuff that's good, stuff that people want.
Right.
And so we're dialed in on that. And what I don't want to miss in saying that is like giving people great service too. Like, I'm really proud of the service standard that we have, number one, at our store, but qualitatively, just the service that we give to our customers. I'm really proud of that. And that's important, as well as the product, the price, all that stuff.
What makes a good bud tender?
Someone who's gonna give you options,
not just be like, this is the one, get that.
Yeah, and it's two-sided, right? Like, a good bud tender to the customer gives you options because there's always more products that the customer doesn't know about. But to the business as well, a good bud tender giving you more products or giving you more options, that helps the business grow. Because if people are buying more stuff, it's helping everybody. So I think really that's one thing, giving people options, like at a very basic level, like bud tender, just showing people, hey, I just came in as a customer. I'm looking for a sativa pre-roll. Show me 5.
Right, exactly. Not just like, that's the one.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Or just don't choose the cheapest one or the most expensive. Like,
absolutely.
Show me all 5 and tell me a little bit about it.
Right. This episode is brought to you by Good Feels, makers of Good Vibes, the fast-acting tincture that actually delivers. Whether you're into classic flavors like grape, blue raz, or strawberry, or want to try our brand new 1,000 milligram mango guava, we've got a vibe for every taste. Just pop it into your drink and feel it kick in fast. None of the wait, all the feels. Available now in 500 milligrams or 1,000 milligrams bottles across Massachusetts dispensaries or at getgoodfeels.com. As always, 21 plus only, and please consume responsibly. So education for the bud tenders. So,
which was going to be to my second point, is then the education comes in. Because then this is a good opportunity to talk about and educate all these products, right? And again, these are things we already kind of knew about in retail because we was doing that. So if someone wants a bowl, how much you want to spend? Okay, I'm going to bring you 5 of them.
There's a range.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to show you your options, and then why are there different options? I'm going to educate you on it.
Right.
And so that's just been our DNA as retailers for almost 15 years.
Yeah, it comes from that experience. You're right, exactly. So you had that built-in inherent when you launched the first cannabis store.
Yeah.
What, like, how, so
options in education.
Options in education, I like that. Is it traditional store, like 70% flower, 80% flower kind of thing situation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Still dominating.
Yeah. I'm not dialed in today on that specific number, but yeah. I mean, I look at my consumption habits, and I think I'm a pretty standard consumer in that I kind of try everything, right? But most of what I consume is flower.
Right.
Probably like 50 to 70%.
So, and I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. How are you able to survive and thrive in Cambridge, where so many people have failed now in Cambridge? Because Cambridge, again, there's Harvard Square, Cambridge, there's the western part of Cambridge where you guys are at. Like, a lot of these stores are gone now all of a sudden, right?
I think, number one, we're a brand of our community. We serve our community, like the people that live there. The squares are very transient to some degree. People are moving in and out. It's not always like the same people, but our part of Cambridge, like, people live there.
Right. Versus like dorms
or apartments. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, people live there.
Right.
And we're anchored next to a supermarket. So, you know, that always helps.
Yeah, exactly. Get your pre-roll, get your apples, whatever. Right.
But yeah, I think we're serving our community, people that live there. I think we have a decent location with great parking. We offer great service, great product, great prices. And we're hands-on in the market. We're not like, passive. We're in the details, understanding the trends so that we're making sure we're serving people what they want at the prices that they want.
But do you have like a street team? Do you have people out there like flyering or anything like that? Or people just know you because they see you and they're like, oh, this is Marcus's.
We don't have a street team. We're a lean operation. I think our focus has really been on our team and our people, training them up, making sure they're educated, making sure they're delivering high quality service, because retail is essentially a retention business. And when people are coming back, that's when you have a good business. And typically people come back to a business not necessarily for price. They do, not necessarily for price, but more for service.
Right.
Because they feel like they're treated well, they're acknowledged. And cannabis consumers are like a supermarket consumer. Like, well, consumers have a real relationship with their cannabis, you know what I'm saying? So, and when they're conscious of it, like they're conscious of where they go and what cannabis products they consume, who they want to talk to when they go to a store, right? Like, you know,
I've heard that before.
Yeah, like people will come in and be like, yeah, I'll wait in line. I want to deal with my boy over there.
Right, exactly.
Because that person gives me the best recommendations,
right,
the best options, the best education, the best experience. They know my name.
Exactly.
And that's
it's not to not getting the other bud tenders. It's just the fact that they've got something special that they want to always go to that one person.
Yeah.
Because the other bud tenders are probably
that's what you have to also or in retail.
But exactly.
To sustain and grow,
I guess. Yeah, because I also feel this is some of the things I always tell, especially dispensaries or, you know, coming for advice sometimes. And I always say, like, you can't chase the lowest price. It only gets you so far. And then all of a sudden, it's short term, right? Somebody's like, hey, $2 pre-rolls. You know, the person's like $1.50 pre-rolls. And then the person's like $1 pre-roll. And all of a sudden, it's like...
The reality is that you have to have stuff for everybody.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
More about that.
Like, I was coming up with this phrase, everybody wants weed. Some people will pay top dollar for it.
Premium.
But most people want to pay for weed that they can afford. And so like most people, that's kind of like your 80-20, depending on where you're at, right? And so you got to take that into heart and have a menu that's designed for most people. The average people.
I get that. So that's the 80-20 rule of cannabis right there. 80% of the customers are going to want what they can afford, basically, right?
100%. 100%. Like, we have tons of products that are priced more affordably, right? But like, as my level of consumption and the standard of quality that I like, I'm always buying the top tier shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you might shout out a couple of those people right now who make some really good.
Well, my boy James, that's my dog with Tower 3.
Tower 3.
I gotta shout out my boy James.
Yeah.
What other brands? The 91 Octane from Highmark, that always does it for me. What else?
Have you tried any Kim Dog stuff? No? I just saw him. He was speaking at the Flower Expo, and I was just hearing him like
his greatest hits. Yeah,
smash hits.
Yeah.
And he was going into how he had been, you know, rated and stuff like that. It was wild. It's
never
gone through.
Never tried. You know, they're in like different markets. Yeah, so we're like,
it's like Northampton.
Never tried that, but yeah, those are kind of like my go-tos. Like if I'm ever behind the register and I see them, like, oh, I got to make it back. You know what I'm saying?
That's great. So, all right. So you get that first store launch, obviously hitting some bumps in the road, but for the most part, you, based on your experience, retail and everything, you can kind of like smooth out those bumps, get, you know, launched, get situated, get kind of like stable-ish. Then you open Brockton. Like, was that always the plan to go to a second store right away? Because it seems kind of quick.
Well, again, I think I'm coming from business at this point. Like, I'm not going to claim we're the most seasoned business people, but we've gone through a couple stores, and it's like, to succeed at business, you kind of need some scale, right? And so with that mindset, it's like, all right, we got first spot, let's try to get more. let's try to get the limits that they're allotted, 3 for retail. So that was like the mindset for cannabis. At once we got to focusing on cannabis retail, we're like, we got to get 3. And so Brockton just so happened. I'll tell you this story offhand.
Okay.
Like more deeply.
Yeah.
But basically, there was like a short period of time in Brockton that the city allowed for just equity applicants to apply. It was like a 2-week window or something like that. Something like stupid. Maybe 2 months.
Kind of short.
It was. I'll tell you the real story, like off camera. And then my boy just, again, he's a real estate agent, so it's like you get that signal. It's like, all right, go look for properties.
You gotta have your ear to the rail.
Yeah,
like, you gotta be listening for that to come.
And he was selling houses in Brockton anyways, so it just, he was kind of in that market, so it just kind of divine intervention type shit.
Right.
Landed on a property. We gave the guy $1,000 for a LOI. Just hold it for like 3 months.
Can I get the application?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. and like, then we got it. Got the HCA. It was like, oh shit. Like, all right,
It worked.
now we got to really figure.
Now you gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, I've been there, man. I've been there.
Yeah.
So Brockton comes along, and was Brockton always, you think, your second home? Did you look at like other spots before that, or?
I mean, we was looking for mad spots. Like we was looking.
Yeah.
Because
Brockton already had, I mean, Brockton's has like, had like 10 stores at this point.
Yeah. Well, we were looking, but again, that opportunity kind of came up. Got the spot. Couple months later, got approved. So it's like, all right, this is where we're gonna be. Let's figure out how we're gonna get it open.
And how long's Brockton been open for? Year maybe now?
It's a year and like 3 months. Some and last year, April 20th.
And as far as like Cambridge versus Brockton,
Yeah, they're kind of operating at the same at this point.
oh wow, okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, pretty much.
Why do you think that is? More like traffic, it kind of got up faster.
I think it's a couple things, and I'm glad we're having like intimate conversation about.
Yeah, well, I'm curious because
Because this is the stuff that like the conversations that don't really get had in public.
Yeah. Well, this is stuff that I'm curious.
Yeah, so
'Cause I know you got community in Cambridge, but Brockton, I don't know if you have that much of a name before. So how does that come up? So a year and 3 months, it's already matching Cambridge.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of we have good people today, and when you're running lean and running small and trying to grow at the same time, like it's a stretch. So
Everybody's wearing multiple hats.
exactly,
Yeah.
and you can only do so many things well, right? So it's like you get a store open, you gotta operate it, and there's just gonna be kinks. Like even with all the experience we had, there's gonna be kinks, even layered with the fact that we didn't have all the money in the world, right? So there's just gonna be kinks.
You got to cash flow.
Then at the same time, you gotta get the other store open, finish raising money for it, and then you got this other third store that you're figuring out getting money to, you know what I'm saying? So you're really trying to do a lot. And so this gets to a point where it's like, it's working. Then you can take the gas a little bit off on that and reshift focus to the second one.
Because you got to focus on one thing at a time, really, right?
Get that right. But then when you have good people, it's less of a curve.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To getting it right. Then again, love my people. I appreciate y'all. But then you can take the brakes off a little bit, or the gas or whatever, shift focus on this one, get this one right, step away from a little bit because now you got good people, and then you can look at the business from a 30,000 foot perspective and then start to strategize from that perspective, right? While also getting this
The third one. Yeah, so because, you can only focus on one thing at a time. You got to rely on your people, obviously.
Yep.
I feel like the second time you do it gets a little bit easier, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Because you got good
good people, yeah. So if you got people that's been helping with the first one, we learned our kinks, we gonna do it with the second one, then we get good management in each store, then you good. You know what I'm saying? And now we can kind of continue.
This third store, though. So tell me a little bit more about that. Where you already have a spot, I'm assuming, and like all that stuff. Are you ready to announce any of that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's the construction's pretty much done. Again, I was telling you, I just kind of got back like from traveling maybe like a day ago, so I haven't been over to the site myself, but I've seen.
I bet you're gonna have a big smile on your face when you see it. You'll be like,
yeah,
it's happening.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen the video, so I kind of know like, all right, this is like, it's real. It's happening. Right. But yeah, it's over in Boston, right around the corner from our Kush Groove store that we originally had in Mission Hill. It's literally like 5 minutes around the corner.
It's almost like a homecoming then.
It's been a homecoming every block we on. Seriously, I mean, our first location's in our neighborhood that we grew up in. The second one was in Brockton, and we have like community ties there because Brockton is a deep Cape Verdean community. My partner's Cape Verdean, so we got ties there. Like I said, he was selling houses down there, and then we going back to our spot where we went to college, where we had our first business over there. So yeah, like I'm humbled by it at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be our 5th retail business that we've opened, doing things that we love.
And you're still doing it.
And we're still doing it.
I'm grateful for that.
Grateful is an understatement, man. Oh man, I'm grateful. So grateful. So grateful.
So for this third spot, like was it another hustle? Like, hey, you were like, I found a spot, let's go check it out. And then all of a sudden everything clicked. You're like, all right, this is the one. And then you had to go through the BCB, I'm assuming, at that point, right? And that's a whole nother level of...
It's another bureaucracy.
Yeah, exactly. Did you already pass all that? Are you passed all that or no? Or are you still in it?
Passed it.
Oh, that's good to hear. Because that can hold up a lot of applicants. You know, because you hear about like the Cannabis, for instance, in downtown just closing, right? And they were the only medical store down there besides, I guess, Mayflower, which was like East Boston. And then there's like not really medical down there right now. It's actually just being told that like there's like not much you can do if you're a medical patient in Boston right now. So we're trying to do the de-verticalization and all that other stuff, of course, that's going to come along. But for this third spot, is it like strategic against some of the other players? Like who's your closest around there? Like did you do a whole layout at least? Because it's your third time, so you probably like you knew all the spots are around there that are already open.
Well, we've had this property held for a while. So we, to some degree, we were in position, in theory, to open before some other people had opened, but that's another conversation. And, you know, it's how the game goes.
It's how it works. Yeah.
I think we're just excited. We have a great location. We're right next to the train station. People live there. I think that's really important. There's a lot of housing units that were developed like right around us, like hundreds. Thousands of people literally live in walking distance. You know, there's probably like 50,000 cars that go down the street every day on Columbus Ave. So we're gonna focus on what we do well, just be a good business in the community. Folks already kind of know us, and that's all you could do in business, man. Like,
right.
You know, the hoopla about competition, this, that, and the third, and that shit don't matter. Like, if you got to operate your business well, take care of your people, your customers, and your staff, provide good service, treat people with dignity, offer them great products at a good price, and hopefully they continue to come back.
They're going to come back.
You know what I'm saying?
Things, they're coming back.
Yeah, like, you know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You said it perfectly, because that's what I always tell people who are, you know, because we talked to a bunch of different dispensaries around the Massachusetts, and they're just like, well, my competitor's doing this, and like, don't focus on, focus on getting your customer.
Your shit right, because your customer don't care about you thinking about your competitor.
Right. You were watching their menu all day.
Your customer cares about when they come in. Am I acknowledged? Do these people know my name? Do they make me feel well? Do the products are products that I'm about to buy, are they good?
Right.
Is the service that this person is going to give me good? If not, I'm going to tip them more or less. Like, that's what the customer thinks about.
Right.
They don't think about or care about us trying to think about our competitors.
Exactly.
That don't work.
So when you're looking at kind of like the overall landscape, you'll be at 3 stores soon. There's obviously different legislature and all this bills getting, passed and stuff like that.
Yep.
One just recently happened. It's not fully passed yet. It's going to the Senate next, I believe. It's a House bill.
I read the bill last night.
What are your perspectives on kind of like what's happening right now, and then maybe some future perspectives? So kind of like,
So-
you've got 3 stores. You're obviously a good operator because you can handle 3 stores, whereas some operators have 1 store and they can barely do anything with it. Are you looking for 5, 6? Like, how is that going to look to you?
Today, I think where our growth opportunity is consumption next door to our Brockton location.
There's just, you got a spot already like next to it.
Well, we're next door to a business that we could potentially
Buy them out or something.
convince that this is the better business model.
Yeah.
So that's an option, but we'll get there. But I think that it's like a
Social consumption. All right, so that's where your head's at right now?
yeah, I think that would be really dope for that location and for that community. Like it'd just be really dope. Well, and for our business as well.
So for social consumption, people are talking about like, oh, it's just, you just sit around, smoke weed. Like, I can do that at home. Why would I ever go to this spot? But like, so how do you look at that differently?
A couple months ago, I went to Oakland just to kind of see what was out there for social consumption. And I went to a couple, Oakland and San Francisco.
Okay.
And I went to a couple of social consumption lounges, and I'm learning how these business models work just by being there. I also went to Spain.
Oh, for the,
Not for Spain, it was, but I went last year.
Okay.
Like this time last year, and I spent some time in some consumption lounges there. And a couple things I seen were, for visitors, it's a great place to go, right?
to tourists.
For tourists, yep, who are consuming cannabis and then maybe in town for a little bit, a day or maybe a little bit longer. Like, that's a spot for them, right? It's a spot for meeting up. So the NBA playoffs was just last night, playoff games.
Right.
Yep, right. It's a spot for education, learning how to do stuff cannabis related.
Yeah.
So when people think, oh, it's just a spot to go smoke, it's more than that. Like,
Right.
it's way more than that. It's a space to learn about, or have someone like yourself come through and talk about your products in a cozy environment.
Exactly. Consumption friendly space.
In a consumption friendly space. Like, that's what you get from consumption. And if you do it right, like it breeds and builds community.
Yeah, we put on some, like, we put like a drink kind of thing together, or cooking thing or something like that. Be like, hey, here's how you can use your products. It's like, here's you. So that's a really interesting. I like that. That's definitely a really good spin.
And you have a schedule of that, like,
Yeah,
3,
hash
4
makers
days.
coming in, like making hash.
You got to schedule that 3-4 days a week.
Yeah,
You got
they're showing up.
people going to be showing up and coming back.
Right.
And the dispensaries next door.
Exactly. Yeah, I think one of the big things for brands, one of the things I would recommend for brands right now is to get ahead of it a little bit, is to find formats that are not like, because we have a 500 milligram product and a 1,000 milligram product, and for social consumption, you have to consume it or throw it out basically there. You can't leave with it, right? So I would definitely recommend for brands out there right now, start looking at like miniature formats or some kind of sample size formats so they can consume it all on site potentially. Because otherwise it's just like, no one's going to spend $40 on our 500 milligram tincture and then have like 50 milligrams maybe at the most, and then you waste 450 of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So some things that like that come to mind from a brand's perspective. But that's a really good, interesting. I never thought of that particular angle, because I always think to myself, because I hear all these pundits out there who be like, well, it's just like, you got to have good ventilation because it's just people smoking weed and that's all you're going to be doing, right? What about food and stuff like that? Is it allowed? I actually don't know the regs.
Yeah, again, we all can't really speculate too much.
But you can't go too
You know what
far.
I'm saying? But I'm kind of speaking from what I saw, and I'm like, oh, we could do that easily next door, and we have a dispensary.
Exactly. Come get your full bottles now, right?
Yeah, and like, who wouldn't want to just come hang out and smoke over here? Like, I was in the house last night just watching the game, but I would have preferred to go to a cannabis friendly lounge to smoke, chill, dab, have some mocktails, and be around people.
Right.
That would have been a whole lot cooler.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I want in my life.
Exactly. Yeah, community, really, right? It's a community, building a community. You get those patrons, customers coming back over and over again because they're like, it's
my spot.
It's my spot.
Yeah.
So,
people.
Very exactly, my people. So, as far as like, I'm gonna switch to marketing real quick. We can kind of start wrap up. On the marketing side, what do you see trending right now? What are you looking at? Are you utilizing AI, things like that, or are you kind of just like try to do some homegrown stuff without it?
Very good questions. I'm fortunate that I keep myself always in learning environments. So as I said, I work at a university as an EIR, and I'm just around advancements in everything. You know what I'm saying? Technology, AI, marketing, all that stuff. So I'm constantly learning and just absorbing new information and just then thinking about how can I apply it to our business. So I guess long answer to your question is yes, I am kind of engaged in certain things. Yeah, nothing off the top that's like, ooh, that's the home run.
Well, I think about it from perspective of you have 3 dispensaries or soon to be 3. And, to activate on that level, it's really more of because you were saying, 1,000 apartments are next to Mission Hill, people who are going to actually live there. That's your audience, right? That's your cohort. That's the people, your demographic ultimately. And so, making sure those people know you exist and could walk into the store because advertising is obviously prohibitive. It's like you can gotta do some things, but you can't really. So I always think about with all those limitations wrapped into it and knowing that you've got a specific demographic of people in that specific area, like what are you doing to target those people specifically, or you don't take it at that kind of like formal layer?
What I've learned in having 2 stores at this point, and I'm about to have a third, is there's a market segmentation strategy you need to have for each market, right?
So Cambridge is different than Brockton.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
What I've also learned is that nothing really can beat a great location and signage. So if you can hyper focus on those 2 things where they can apply the best, like you kind of hit a home run there. And then, at least getting them in the door.
Right, exactly. And then your staff takes over to make sure they come back.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
And good menu, a great menu, great pricing, scale, in service. You got
right.
And loyalty. Like folks want loyalty points.
Yep.
How to use
Alpine IQ is what's just delivering on that right now.
Yep.
It's good to hear. Maybe I'll have to get back to those people. Because we always look at it from our perspective, like we're a brand. We don't, air quote, own the customer because they have to go through a dispensary to buy our products. So it's like, how do we start engaging with the customer on a deeper level? Because right now it's all superficial. It's just like, hey, we went to Flower Expo and we saw a bunch of bud tenders, you know what I mean? Which is great. And because they're like the front line of communication to the consumer. So we want to educate them and get them swag and stuff like that. But the end consumer, the person who's actually consuming our products, that's much harder for us to grab right now.
Yeah.
So we're looking at newsletters, SMS, things like that. So Alpine IQ kind of fits a lot of that, I know. But like, very cool. Anything else you wanted to shout out or give?
Well, our phone number, you can call us anytime, 1-844-WEEDMAN. Again, it's on the T-shirt. It's on the...
Dude, that is wild. How did you get that? It just came up one day? You were like...
It totally came up one day. That's
cool. I love the vanity stuff.
Yeah, I was like, a weed man number would be dope. Like a vanity weed number. And I was just on this website one day, like just playing with different like options, and like 1-844 weed man was available. I was like, boom, let's get it. Wow. And then we got a campaign about it. We got billboards, we got swag. We got
So
t-shirt.
these are, what are they called? Door knockers? What are they called?
Door hangers.
Door hangers. So these door hangers, do you go around to like the apartment buildings and like pop them on kind of thing? Or all right. Well, you gotta get gorilla with it sometimes.
You do, man.
Get out there and spread the word.
Yeah,
And that's why it's
I
like
come from the grassroots.
exactly that you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't.
And this is, I think, where we win, right? Is like innovative stuff. It's not like the sexiest model on earth, right? But it's like stuff that the people recognize and they're like, I like that.
Yeah.
I remember this one dude back in the day. He came to our Mission Hill store and he had heard about us before, but he came to the store. He's like looking around. He's seen all like he caught the flip. He was like, yeah, I like your gimmick. It's like, I like your gimmick with the turtle and all this shit.
Yeah.
I like your gimmick. And I was like, yeah, all right, you get it.
Right, exactly. Well, because you built this whole thing and it's thoughtfully built. You know what I mean? Even though you have an idea like, oh, weed man, let's figure it out. It's like you're putting all the pieces together to make a real holistic marketing effort across all the different channels.
When people connect with that stuff.
And people can connect.
And this didn't cost us nothing.
Right, exactly. We have a vanity phone number too.
You do?
Yeah, it's 617-404, because I'm a tech nerd, 404, and then 4 zeros at the end, 0000.
Okay.
I almost wanted to just people to be like, is this fake? Is this a real number? Who has 4 zeros at the end? So it's 404-0000.
Yeah.
But just for fun, I was just like, it'd just be fun to have something, because that's what makes life interesting too.
Yeah.
It's like, let's have fun here.
Yeah, and like
We're all selling weed.
We got stickers, bumper stickers. People grab them in the store. They love this shit.
Yeah.
Like that's the stuff that gets them to come back. And it's like, this ain't a $30,000 marketing effort.
Right,
This is
exactly.
like $100, couple $100.
Yeah, our stickers. I love seeing our stickers on when I see it on bumpers and be like, that's my sticker right there. I got it.
Like, and that's the stuff that works. And that's what is sustainable. It keeps you lean, and people actually like it.
Yeah,
and they talk about it.
Then I feel like a word of caution for anybody who's getting into the industry, who is a startup person, whatever. There's plenty of people who will take your money easily. They'll be like, hey, I get this great thing. It's $10,000. It's going to bring so many customers to your store. And they never deliver. Be careful what people are promising you in this world. It's not going to be true. So with that said, thank you so much, Marcus, for coming on. It's been a pleasure. I love talking to you about all this stuff. I nerd out all the time, especially the marketing side. I love that stuff
too, man.
So
it's just, simple, good business. I'm thankful for the people that have been my mentors and my guides. They got just good businesses.
But now you're passing it on to the next generation as an EIR.
I guess. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Through that. Yeah.
So that's important. That's important, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you've made it in some form, whatever that form might be, which if you're doing it, you're making it.
Yeah.
If you don't quit, you made it.
Yeah.
Still, passing that knowledge on to the next generation is extremely important. And so that's what I love. And I love entrepreneurs, my favorite people in the world. Absolutely. Because they're out there grinding every day.
I love being around entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
Especially young ones in this age right now, because they grew up with technology.
Yeah. They have access to so many tools we never had access to. It's incredible what the next generation is going to be creating.
When they're smart and conscious and like hungry.
Yep. Absolutely.
Those are the folks I like being around.
All right, very cool. Let's wrap. Cheers.